go. One student, Ryan, was the school's star quarterback. He came from money, and people treated him like he walked on water. But behind closed doors, he was cruel. Especially to anyone who didn't fit his idea of worthy. For 4 years, I watched him bully smaller kids. But nothing was ever done. His dad was the school's biggest donor. His favorite target was a quiet kid named Ethan. Ethan had a bad stutter but was one of the smartest kids in school. Straight A's across the board, especially in science. Still, he could barely get a sentence out without struggling, and Ryan made it his mission to humiliate him. He'd film Ethan trying to speak and post it online. Ethan would eat lunch alone and avoid hallways just to dodge him. During senior year, I found Ethan crying in the bathroom. I asked what happened, and he showed me his phone. Ryan had faked an MIT acceptance letter, Ethan's dream school, and had it delivered during lunch. Ethan opened it in front of everyone, thinking it was real. Ryan filmed his excitement, then announced it was a prank. The whole cafeteria laughed. Ethan just said to me, "I just want to make it to graduation without him ruining that too." What Ethan didn't know was that I'd been at this school for 20 years, and I had connections. My brother-in-law works in admissions at MIT. I'd already been sharing Ethan's science projects with him. That night, I made a call and explained everything. 2 days later, I slipped a real MIT acceptance letter, full scholarship, into Ethan's locker. Graduation day came. Ryan was the student speaker, of course. His family sat front row, proud as could be. The principal started the ceremony, praising Ryan's leadership. I stood quietly at the back of the auditorium. Then the principal announced the valedictorian, Ethan, and added that he was receiving a special recognition. Ethan walked to the podium, nervous. Then the principal handed him the mic and introduced a surprise guest, a woman from MIT. She stepped on stage and handed Ethan an award for his renewable energy research. She said his work would be featured in the university's innovation showcase. I watched Ryan's face fall, first confused, then furious. But it wasn't over. The MIT rep added, "We'd also like to recognize someone who helped ensure we didn't overlook this incredible young man." She gestured toward me. Still in my janitor uniform, standing in the back. The whole room turned to look at me. Ethan's parents were in tears. Ryan's father? Red-faced, whispering something furious to the principal. After the ceremony, Ryan stormed over to me. "What did you do?" he barked. I smiled and said, "I just cleared some trash out of someone's way." Later, while I was cleaning up after the reception, Ethan's parents found me. His mom hugged me tight, sobbing. His dad shook my hand like he'd never let go. "He never told us how bad the bullying was," his mom whispered. "We just thought the stutter made him shy." 2 years later, I got a package from MIT. Inside was a framed patent application with Ethan's name on it. There was a handwritten note. "No stutter when I write. Thank you for seeing me." What's the most harmless friendship that ruined everything? My husband's childhood best friend came back to town after 15 years, and within 3 months, my marriage was falling apart. When Adam first mentioned Lena was moving back, I didn't think twice. They'd been friends since elementary school, way before I entered the picture. He showed me old photos. Prom, graduation, family vacations. Always side by side, always just friends. The first time we had dinner together, I actually liked her. She was warm, witty, and respectful. She even brought her boyfriend. They laughed over childhood memories and inside jokes, and I felt genuinely happy that Adam had reconnected with someone who reminded him of simpler times. Then her boyfriend moved back to Seattle for work, and suddenly Lena was alone in our city. That's when the harmless coffee catch-ups began. Once a week turned into 2, then 3. I noticed Adam glued to his phone, chuckling at texts. One day I caught a glimpse, over 200 unread messages from just that day. "We're just catching up on lost time," he said when I gently brought it up. "She's having a rough time with the long-distance thing." I believed him. Until I came home early one day. They were sitting on the couch, photo albums spread out, shoulders touching. His head rested briefly on hers as they laughed. They jumped apart the second I walked in. "It's not what you think," he said later. "We've always been physically comfortable. It doesn't mean anything." I tried to be the understanding wife. I even suggested we all hang out together more often. But somehow, plans always fell through. Meanwhile, their lunches turned into 3-hour marathons. Then came the final straw. I was planning our anniversary weekend when I checked our shared calendar, and saw he'd marked himself busy that Friday. No details. When I asked about it, he looked away. Then admitted Lena had invited him on a day trip to visit their old hometown. On our anniversary. "I didn't realize," he said, eyes avoiding mine. "I'll cancel." That night, I couldn't sleep. I did something I never thought I would. I checked his phone. Most of their texts were innocent. Until I saw hers. Sometimes I wonder how different things would be if I hadn't moved away. Sent at 1 a.m., 3 days earlier. His reply. I think about that too. More than I should. When he came out of the shower, I was sitting on the edge of the bed with his phone in my hand. I didn't scream. I just showed him the screen. "It's not an affair," he whispered, tears forming. "We haven't done anything." "Emotional affairs are still affairs," I replied quietly. He promised to set boundaries. Said he'd fix things. I wanted to believe him. But a week later, my friend Nina called. She had seen them at a restaurant, holding hands, looking at each other like no one else existed. When I confronted him again, he broke down. "I don't know what's happening," he sobbed. "It's like being pulled back into the past. I love you, but there's all this history." I packed my bag that night. As I was walking out, he grabbed my arm and said, "She was just a friend. I never meant for this to happen." That's the thing about harmless friendships. By the time you realize the danger, the damage is already done. 3 months of her return erased 8 years of marriage. What's the most painful thing you were wrongfully accused of? I was the only female teacher at a local elementary school when the principal and a police officer walked into my classroom during lunch hour. They closed the door behind them and accused me of inappropriate behavior with a young boy who often stayed late after school. Years of perfect evaluations meant nothing as I was escorted out like a criminal in front of my students. One of them, Sam, often stayed after school because his mother worked late shifts at the hospital. School policy required supervision for kids waiting for pickup, so I'd let him sit in my classroom while I graded papers. Sam was painfully shy around other kids but opened up about dinosaurs and space when we were alone. Sometimes, he'd help organize the classroom library or feed the class hamster. It felt natural. I was there, and he needed a safe place to wait. Then, one afternoon, the principal and a police officer asked me to come to the office. Their serious faces made my stomach drop. In the principal's office, I was told that Sam's father had filed a complaint, accusing me of inappropriate behavior. Apparently, his father, embroiled in a bitter custody battle, was using me as leverage. I was stunned as they explained that the district's zero-tolerance policy required my suspension pending investigation. They took my keys, warned me against contacting anyone, and escorted me off campus. Parents picking up their kids early whispered and pulled their children closer as I walked to my car. For 6 weeks, I stayed in my apartment, watching rumors spread online. My car was vandalized, and I received anonymous messages telling me to end my life. My lawyer advised me to avoid social media and public statements, so I endured in silence.